Nice to see. Nice.
Okay, seeing a quorum of councils in attendance, I'll call this meeting to order. We'll start with housekeeping. First with attendance, we'll start over here with Rowan and we'll go around. Please announce your name and say that you're present. Rowan East, present.
Matthew Rothman, present.
Hey, Barry, present.
Stephanie Valero, present.
Patrick Cervera, present.
Sky Childress, present.
Gordon Arnold, present. Nathan Allison, present. William Coates, present.
Well, I find there are 7 counselors in attendance, so we can convene. We'll go on to reading of the mission statement. Do I have a volunteer? Rowan.
To support the evolving needs of the MSU Denver students by advocating in their best interests to enhance the university experience and opportunities.
Thank you. Okay, on to approval of the agenda in previous meeting minutes. We have today's agenda pulled up currently. Are there any modifications proposed and or motions to approve?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to amend the agenda to on the section 7. It says standing motion to adjourn at 7 p.m. I would amend that to 5.
Okay, we have a motion to amend the agenda to instead of say 7, say 5 at the closing time. Looks like the person making the agenda made a mistake. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Is there any opposition? By unanimous consent, that is approved. We'll move on to the approval of the agenda properly. We have a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Patrick?
I have a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, is there a second?
Second that.
Is there any opposition to approving the agenda? Wonderful. I find that passed. I will note for the record, we now have 3 folks walked in. I'll let you guys announce your.
Emma Fox, present. Maria Garcia, present. Lizzie Douglas.
Okay, we'll move on to approval of the previous meeting minutes. We don't have those yet. Okay, we will. I'm going to table meeting minutes for now. We'll come back to the next meeting. On to public comment. I do not see any members of the public that are not otherwise affiliated with TSAC. Any public comment online? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. If before 3:20 someone walks in and makes their presence known, we will allow them to give their public comments. Move on to delegate swearing in ceremony. We have a swearing in of incoming delegates. We'll go to Matthew Rathman.
It would be the best place to stand, do you think, Stephen?
Probably right where you are.
Right. So I get the honor to do the swearing in ceremony of our delegates for the 2026 session here. So I'm going to introduce the delegates. If you want to come on up here, or do you want to do this? So they're all good calls by the way. I've been daycare and all that. Yeah. Not bad. So first I would like to call up Nathan Allison. He is majoring in computer science and minoring in business, and he's a freshman. Congratulations. Thank you.
You want them up there?
Do we stand there?
Yeah, I
Sure.
figured,
Okay. You stand right here. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay. And next we have Dalton Hagel. He's the next delegate. Dalton is a senior majoring in history. Hey. And present here, finally present here today, I would like to call up Maisie Bilchis, who is majoring in political sciences, junior. I would also like to recognize the delegates who are not present with us today. Aslin Amari, who is a sophomore majoring in business management and minor in marketing. Ricardo Estrada Vasquez, who is majoring in political science with minor in philosophy. Actually, includes ones in,
And Medina.
oh yeah. And Medina Amiri, who is a junior majoring in finance, minor in accounting and political science. And now at this time, we've been waiting for swearing you on as delegates of TSAC. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Nathan.
Do solemnly affirm that I will faithfully execute.
I solemnly affirm.
Safely execute. You go back there.
Swear that. Yeah.
The duties of the delegate position within the Student Advocacy Council
The duties of the delegate position within the Student Advocacy Council
of Metropolitan State University of Denver
of Metropolitan State University of Denver
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability,
and uphold the Constitution of this body, including the values and language
to uphold the Constitution of this body, including its values and language
of integrity, inclusivity, and advocacy.
of integrity, inclusivity, and advocacy.
I promise to place the interest of the students first
I promise to place the interests of the students first
and work collaboratively with the council members to find the best solutions
and work collaboratively with the council members to find the best solutions
benefiting our students.
benefiting our students.
Congratulations, you are officially sworn as delegates of MSU Denver. Remain with us tonight through the meeting, also in future meetings. Please be sure to meet with Stephen to determine your next steps.
Awesome. Congrats.
We did have a delegate just come in while we were doing that. I want to recognize Richard Estrada Vasquez. If you want to come on up. He is a senior currently majoring in political science with a minor in philosophy. Oh, that's okay. So I'll just do a quick swearing in with you right now. So if you just want to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Ricardo Estrada Vasquez,
Do solemnly affirm that I will faithfully execute
solemnly affirm that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the delegate position within the Student Advocacy Council
the duties of the delegate
Three.
Metropolitan State University of Denver,
to the best of my ability
best of my ability,
and uphold the Constitution of this body, including the values and language of integrity, inclusivity, and advocacy.
and uphold the Constitution of the body, including values, language, and of integrity, inclusivity, and advocacy.
I promise to place the interest of the students first
Promise those interests of the students first
and work collaboratively with the council members
and work collaboratively with council members on the best solutions
benefiting our students.
and benefiting our students.
Congratulations, we're officially sworn in. Oh, and also make sure to check in with Stephen on your next steps.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, that all for the swearing in purpose. Matt,
Opposed states.
wonderful. Let's move on to appointing delegates to committees.
Awesome. Well, let's see real quick. We had every delegate fill out that Q&R survey. If you guys remember that, pointing out to the three committees, standing committees that you guys wanted to serve on principally. Me and Matt took your answers. You want Stephen to pop, like, show it? Do you mind, like, expanding that when you have a second? Thank you. Yeah. Perfect. So basically, me sponsor pick is there as well, which we will discuss about more in further detail. But currently, where every delegate's going to go, we want to make sure you guys know who to contact within that standing committee right away as soon as you're sworn in. That way, there's no confusion as what your next steps are as well. So let's go over that. Let's see. Oh, thank you. So for Ricardo, we had budget first as a standing committee. I know the resolution states that the council ultimately decides whether the delegates go into that, but I also wanted to open up that discussion for TSAC, for the council members, as to if there were any issues with the delegates just going straight into their standing committee, the ones that they pick. If you do have an issue, please make that known and as to why that might be an issue, and then we can further discuss. But ideally, we would want to place the delegates where they have the most interest so they can be the most productive. And so
This is just one small thought of thinking about if there's any standing committees that we need a little bit more delegate support on.
Mhm.
Like I'm thinking like PR, because they do a lot of our like external facing work.
Mhm.
And I think I only see one that has the first choice for PR.
Mhm.
So I'm not necessarily saying like, oh, we have to make them do this one, but just something to think about in this process.
Of course. And when me and Matt were deliberating and like going through the picks from the delegates, we also saw, if you mind, Stephen, when you have a second, just scooting it over a little bit, that there are multiple second round picks for PR specifically. TSAC knows that PR, and at least I'm gonna make an assumption here that sustainability as well would really want delegate support there. And we do have, again, multiple delegates in PR as a second round pick, and sustainability as well. You have two there. So that also covers that concern to some extent, because in the resolution, they can be part of more than three, or no more than three committees. I will entertain a discussion about the third standing committee, or the third committee option. The resolution says for advisory. And I also want to make it known and be transparent as to how the council wants to navigate that third pick. And yes, Sky.
I'm sure this actually. But so I really think that we should appoint 2 people to PR, 2 people to sustainability, 1 to accountability, and 1 to budget. That's just like an opinion I hold. And so I think that does go in line pretty closely to what those picks are, at least where everybody could at least get their first or second pick. I say that because I think that sustainability and PR need the most support this upcoming term. But the accountability and budget still need support for the upcoming term too. And I'm interested, obviously, to hear what delegates think about that also, but other councilors too.
Yeah, I agree with what Faye said earlier. The fact is, and what exactly what Sky said. So we have different, in our committees, we have different jobs that we do. And the one that really is most hefty is PR. That is one where we have a lot more involvement of need of counselors and individuals who either spread out the flyers, or whether that be creating the event itself, and to like making sure that the event functions well and like participating in it. I feel like budget, we could have one individual at budget, and then 2 PR. I think PR should be the one with the most delegate if possible, if that's what the choice is. Well,
I would love to hear from PR directly. Either about the co-chairs or any of the chairs.
Make known for the record, Susanna is online, has been for a few minutes as well. Susanna doesn't want to speak, she is here.
Hello, can you all hear me?
We can go ahead.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, can you hear us?
Oh, yes, I could hear you. Okay, my bad. Sorry that I joined online. The internet is kind of wonky here, but I do agree with Sky. I think sustainability and PR does need the most help, and if it's 2-2 and 1-1, I'm completely fine with that too.
Now that I feel like most of the councilors here have given their piece on this, I would love to hear from our delegates as to their opinion on this.
Yeah, very reasonable. Give more people the place to begin with. Oh, we know what you mean.
I have both sustainability PRs in my top two, so I would not mind taking those.
So no objections from
No.
the delegates with how we approach at least the first two standing committees.
My point for not assigning that first.
Okay. Since that's, I feel like mostly covered, I do want to talk about or open discussion about that third committee.
Do you mean like the third committee that theoretically a delegate could be appointed to?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
I was also going to offer, I know that Rowan ended up taking that APC appointment, the Wednesday 8 a.m. meeting that a lot of us had conflicts for. I also wanted to throw out there that that is, we had mentioned possibly having a delegate in that position as well. I know we have to consider it currently, but thank you. That's what I had.
I think based on what's on the agenda as appointing delegates to committees, I think a discussion on how we should do that makes perfect sense. So let's think about this discussion. It's not just about appointing delegates to these standing committees, considering their responding. It's also like the other committees. I guess I'm of the opinion, obviously they can have a maximum of 3 and a minimum of 1. I'm of the opinion that like I don't think the council should prescribe what number they choose there. I think they should choose between 1, 2, and 3. I do think that also, just so you guys know, you guys don't have to have 3 today or 2 today. If you want 2 or 3 in the future, at any moment we can approach another one up to 3 in the future. So it's not rushed. I think it makes perfect sense to sort of get one and go from there.
I would second that, just because I want you guys to also feel comfortable with workload. Especially I know PR tends to be a lot of workload. So if you're on that, I don't want you to feel pressured to join 3 committees today and then you just stick on those committees and stress yourself out. But starting with the first appointment.
I heard from Faye, the Faculty Senate's subcommittee on academic policy is one that we, as a advisory committee, that we recognize that we need some help with. I imagine there's probably a couple other ones, and any advisory committee reps, I imagine, could speak to any help they might need too. Will, are you thinking that we should present those as well alongside these standing committees? Do you think we should appoint everyone to one standing committee today and then advisory committees be supplemental to that in the future? What are your and everyone else's thoughts?
My thoughts specifically to that question is I would actually pose that question to the delegates to decide. I think they are capable of answering that for themselves. If they feel comfortable taking on more, then that's fine. And we inherently are adaptable to if they, for example, take on too much, they can come discuss to us and we can adapt and move them around, or they can, I want to, instead of for us to dictate that, I would love to hear how the delegates feel. If they feel comfortable taking on more than one committee at a time.
Wonderful. For context, I want to give you some context. I imagine you know, but there are standing committees. There's these ad hoc committees that are also sort of internal committees, and there's also advisory committees. These standing committees and ad hoc committees are internal, so sort of they meet regularly within TSAC. The advisory committees are less committees in TSAC, more going to represent TSAC somewhere else in the university. Just for context on that. I think the question was asking all of you to sort of give input on is, do you want to go ahead and get appointed to an internal committee today? And then seek out advisory committees in the future if that's something you want? Or do you want to have the option to choose one of either of those today?
I think we should get appointed to an internal standing committee and maybe the advisory later, or is there like a spreadsheet with all that we can look at?
That's a great point. Also,
I think it's important that we let people know about this. On the back of the agenda, there is a list of most of our committees. There are a couple that are niche and short lasting that we haven't added to the agenda, that possibly could add it to as well. Emma?
As the semester starts, for those, since all of the, except for the one that's on the agenda today, standing committees are filled by people, would it be fair to also kind of maybe push that off until we know when meeting times will be this coming semester and see if counselors have conflicts and want to appoint somebody else in that position?
I guess open to standing committee chairs to talk about that because you guys will look at the schedule. Susanna, do you have insight into when PR is meeting this semester?
Yes, I was gonna state that we already have those meetings every Wednesday from 5:30 to 7 p.m., I believe, unless if Steffi corrects me.
Wonderful. For sustainability, I'll say we have not set our meeting time yet. We are hoping to have delegates join. We are going to consider your schedules and schedule that to make sure you guys can get. So whoever's interested in joining, once we have our committee set, we're going to set meeting times for this semester.
And I'm sorry, I meant more for like the advisory committees.
Oh,
Like, I don't know when my advisory committee is meeting, and I know there's lots of conflicts, but if it doesn't work for me, I might be able to point somebody else to make it easier. But I don't know yet.
I'm of the opinion that if they express interest today in joining an advisory committee, that we need to tell them what time it meets, and if they don't know that, then probably not join again. But that's just my opinion. Will?
I'm more of the opposing view. I think we should get the ball rolling and have them join the ones that they're interested in, and if things change, then we adapt. But that's just my opinion. At least at one committee that they join,
Or advisors.
advisory or standing, just get them on some.
Now.
So my idea kind of with getting them with the standing committees today is so then the delegates are already attached to a group and could communicate with the chair to also be able to ask a lot of the questions too. So we can start a little bit of that sort of mentorship piece. And then expand from there.
I completely agree with that. I believe it's, for me, like the entering like a little bit later. It's a little bit hard to start getting right off the bat. And there's a lot of things that you kind of pick up on. I think definitely started with a standing committee where there's already certain dates. We have our chairs. There isn't really a third party that we have to communicate to get more information out of. I think it'd be a lot better to just have a standing committee. And if there's any advisory committee, I think we can definitely provide more information of either the representative that's currently holding that position, or we can reach out to other committees to provide more information that may benefit the position.
Okay, so I've heard a lot of discussion on this. I think we should stop deciding how we're going to do it. We should do it. I'll entertain a motion on how to do this. We sort of have to decide it. And so I need a motion to how to decide that. I'll go to Emma.
I motion that we appoint each delegate to at least one standing committee now.
I second that.
Seconded by Will. So I'll call second. Is there any opposition to that? That passed by unanimous consent. That's how we'll move on to. I'm gonna open to a discussion. Hopefully delegates can pop up and talk about why they want to join their first choice or second choice. Given what they've heard so far, or ask questions of the chairs. Open up a discussion first. After discussion, we'll go into nominations period. Discussion is up.
So the reason why I picked the accountability committee is simply because it relates to a little bit of my interest when it comes to organization, make sure things are going smoothly, fairly, and
effectively. I've been in too many work environments where things are just a chaotic mess. People sometimes don't even know the own rules and just make up as they go, and it just ends up a disaster. So that's why I like accountability, as I know what it is to be without it, and needs to have a good, strong foundation in order for the organization to grow.
Thank you. So I'm still learning Nathan, right?
Yes.
Okay, amazing.
So I chose sustainability as my first choice, but truly I think PR and sustainability are about equal for me. I put sustainability first though, because I don't know as much about it, and I think I would like to get more insight on that, given that I'm very passionate about transportation services and just getting more groups of people to have access to mobility. And just helping students also be able to get more access to resources while they're here at MSU. As far as PR goes, I already have a lot of job experience for that. I used to work in journalism. I worked for a magazine in marketing. So I know that I would be good at that and can definitely be helpful in that area and do not mind doing it at all.
I'm interested in sustainability committee because I'm interested in the events that are being put on by that committee.
The recent pick I chose was budget committee, and sort of kind of just sparked my interest, but I'm more than happy to help out whatever committee meets most.
Will,
Um,
are you interested in committees?
Huh?
Are you interested in committees? I'm gonna go ahead.
no, just trying to more so from delegates who are like maybe one or the other, just for like the purposes of like voting you in with one standing committee. Just trying to remind you that for now, for this motion, correct? Is that correct, Joe?
The idea of this is that we're gonna have a nomination period for each person to get one standing.
Yes.
Or just discussion about which one each individual folks will want, or we think might be best for them. So those things before we have a vote as a council.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So discussion is open, just general topic. We're about to eventually have nominations and a vote for appointing these folks to committees. So discussion about that before we have nominations.
Sorry, Will.
Oh, that was in the hand.
I was gonna mention that in discussion.
Okay, is there any other hands? Emma,
Are you just motioning to, what are you motioning?
I'm not making a motion. My discussion is, I'm saying discussion is open and we want to chat about this. If no one wants to chat about it, we just want to go ahead and, you're ready to make a nomination, we can, I can close this. It's
Can
fine.
I nominate each person individually?
We
Like
can.
make motions for each person?
I don't think, there doesn't have to be a motion for nomination. So we can talk about the nomination once there is that point. This is just like about the committees and how people fit it. If you don't want to discuss, we cannot discuss, okay?
I'm not entirely sure if I'm reading correct from here. Thanks, Steven. I believe that the two delegates that we don't have today have either a first or a second option for PR. Yeah. So it's something to consider when we're talking about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, seeing very little discussion, I'm gonna close discussion. We're gonna open to nominations. Please raise your hand if you would like to either self-nominate as a delegate, or if you're a counselor who'd like to nominate someone to a standing thing, yes. Emma,
With Nathan being the only one to want to join the accountability committee as his first choice, I would nominate him to join us.
do you accept the nomination?
I accept the nomination.
Okay, I'm gonna nominate Maze, Sustainability Committee. Do you accept the nomination?
I accept the nomination.
Patrick?
I nominate Ricardo for the budget committee. So this.
Eliminate LP for the sustainability committee.
Like that. Okay. Seeing, is there any more hands for nominations?
Well, I know you're not here, but I'll nominate Bettina.
I find that out of order because they can't accept the nomination. So I'm just not gonna entertain nominations people for not in attendance currently. Okay, Any other nominations of the folks present today? Theoretically, you could nominate someone for two, and then we could only confirm them to one of them, if that makes sense. So if you did want to nominate someone for a different one, you could now. But you don't have to, considering what we have. We certainly could do it. So we'll make that space available. Okay, I'm going to close nominations. We're given that there's only one committee proposed for each person. I'm going to ask unanimous consent to appoint these people as non-voting members of these committees. But first, I need a motion for that. So if someone would motion for that, that'd be wonderful. Rowan,
I motion to confirm the delegates to the committees that they've been nominated for as non-voting members of said committees.
seconded by Patrick. Is there any opposition? Congratulations, delegates. Wonderful. Okay, while we're still on this agenda item, I want to ask, was there plans to nominate anyone or suggest anyone to be appointed to advisory committees during this time today? Will.
I want to ask that before we open that discussion, that the chairs make sure who their their delegate is, and like get with them after. This is not for the chair, but this is for all the standing committee chairs.
Yeah.
Make sure after this meeting, please get with your delegate.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. I will open discussion back to the agenda.
All of our delegates to look through all of the advisory committees on the back of the agenda. If there's any of them that interest you, be sure to reach out to that. What it is about, and get some more information on it. You can go to the
Okay, base assigned homework. I'm kidding. So
hey,
yeah.
that's the teacher in me.
On the back, the counselor's name or names is next to those advisory committees. That means they're representatives of that committee. So if you're interested in what that is, please send them an email or a Teams message, and hopefully they can get back to you as soon as possible. Homework for next week, for next time that we see you guys. Okay. Well, still on this point, Will.
So the discussion's open about this entertaining the second.
Yeah, if we wanted to appoint a second committee now, we could.
I want to pose the question to the delegates as to whether or not they're comfortable joining a second standing committee. Specifically standing, doesn't mean you have to join that second standing committee now.
I want to get more comfortable with the current committee I'm in before I think about second.
Valid. Any other opinions?
Yeah, I agree. School hasn't started yet.
I think I see some sort of informal consensus that we don't need to appoint folks to a second standing committee. Is there anyone who would argue for appointing anybody to an advisory committee that could be delegates if you guys are interested in one specifically that you really want to join today? Or if someone has the opposite opinion that wants to not do that and go ahead and move on. Will.
Not necessarily opposite of that opinion, but I would suggest, like Faye was saying, do some homework. There's a lot of advisory committees. Unless you've talked to the counselor or you've been there and you know what it's about, then I'll definitely suggest you join it now if you feel confident. But that is my opinion of that matter.
Okay.
One advisory committee that is not listed, I believe, is that academic policy committee that you're talking about. So you want to know kind of some of the policies that are specifically impacting students in the way that they're being brought up in kind of the really early stages. If you have any interest in that, you can reach out to me or Rowan and we can talk about getting you put in the right direction.
Thank you. Okay. Seeing not much discussion, we're moving on. We'll go to Matt, who has a discussion on the January requirements for delegates.
Yeah, because in the resolution, it does state that the delegates have to be at 2 meetings per month. So I guess I want to see that the delegates maybe first, if you all think it would be, if you all would be eligible to make it to the other meeting this month.
I think able.
Yeah.
So, Matt's asking, are you guys able to make it to the meeting in 2 weeks from Monday?
The 26th, I believe.
Yeah, it's only a week from Monday.
I'm able to make that, but I think maybe could consider the training meeting as a meeting for people who might not be here at this one.
Just they.
Kind of off from that same point, actually. I was just going to say, because it is kind of only half of a month that we've actually been having full business meetings that we've had agendas posted for, that I think it would make sense to only require one meeting for the month of January.
I would also agree with that, and if we were to go down that route, then I feel like a vote of like, I don't know if an exception to the resolution is appropriate here. It's just a thought of voting like they're only required one meeting for this month of January because of the circumstances, due to circumstances.
I see lots of hands. For the record, I've wanted to speak for a few people and I'm adding myself to the stack. I just haven't heard my hand. I think that we should not require delegates to come to a meeting during January because of how little notice they had to make it to this one and little notice they have to make it to the next one. There's only 2. And so I think we should waive the meeting requirement for January. Doesn't mean they can't show up, but waive it. I do think we should require that delegates be sworn in during January. And so if they weren't at this one, they need to come to a meeting to be sworn in. But if a delegate can't make a meeting to be sworn in, I have no issue with them being sworn in outside of the meeting. Just so they are sworn in and are part of the delegate program during January. Might go to Emma.
In the spirit of politics, I would argue that the spirit of the 2 times per month requirement was that it would be half of the meetings per month. So I would think that attending one meeting is sufficient to fulfill the requirement as an interpretation of the document.
Or is it another interpretation of the document, since we also typically only have about 2 meetings in May? So in theory, we hit the same thing. A month could just be a month time frame versus a calendar month.
Rowan.
I was just gonna say, I also agree with waiving the requirement, like the meeting requirement specifically for January, because one, we're students first and we're starting up the semester and we don't necessarily like, we want to give people as much flexibility as possible for the month of January to sort of get things moving in that regard, and also with getting used to serving on the standing committees as well in January. So yeah, I would also agree with waiving the requirement for January.
David.
Does waiving the requirements involve, also consider if someone just doesn't mention that they're not gonna make it and they just don't show up anyways?
So I would say that if we're going to waive the meeting requirement for January, that would just be us saying that you're not going to get in trouble for not making 2 meetings in January or any meetings in January. My reasoning for proposing that was because we didn't give adequate notice, in my opinion, of this meeting. We met with you guys last week and then told you about this meeting, and then the Monday meeting that's happening in a week and a few days. I don't think there was enough notice there either to like, for someone to be like out of compliance with their responsibilities if they can't. That's just my opinion.
But what about like reaching out to say, hey, I can't make it to today's meeting? If someone decides they just not gonna mention, if someone does not reach out, say they're not gonna make it, would that be part of the waive?
That wasn't part of it.
I just was curious when it comes to the waiving, like how much are we waiving?
I do want to interject though in that we are over time, and so I do want to request a motion for how to proceed on this. So it'll be good.
Okay.
I propose a motion that we waive the meeting requirements for delegates for the month of January, but require that delegates must sworn in either at meeting or just within the month of January.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Patrick. Is there any opposition to the motion? Does everyone understand the motion? I didn't restate it, so make sure. Okay, seeing none, that motion passes. We will have waived the meeting requirements for January, but you must be sworn in if you're not already during the month of January. Okay. Is there any other thoughts on January requirements from you, Matt? Any other thoughts on the requirements?
That was the only one that was in question at this point.
Okay, wonderful. We're moving on. We're going to announce the updates. We are running just a little bit behind time today. We're going to do this very quickly. We're going to start with staff members. Stephen.
Hello, TSAC. Welcome to your first meeting of the semester. It's great to see you all in a non-training format. First things first, way to go on a what I perceive as a very good training that you all participated in on last Saturday. I felt like you all had incredible discussion and you came to some pretty good conclusions. I also want to give kudos to Sky for leading the Rules of Order clinic. I thought that went very well and it seemed like folks got a lot of good pieces out of that. So way to go. First things first, I am going to be reaching out to all the counselors and delegates to set up semesterly meetings with us as advisors. Options for that. You can meet as often, as frequently as you want, or as not frequently as you want. So you can just collaborate, either respond to the email or send me a Teams message and we can go from there. You could also decline to meet with me at all, but that is your prerogative if that's what you choose. Secondly, with this room, I want everyone to know that we had set meeting times to be 3:30 to 5:25 on Mondays. I did ask for extra time to get into the room to be able to set up. It seemed like today the room is available a little bit before that time, but I do want to inform the council to please give myself and the executive assistant a little bit of grace in the instance that the room does not become available until exactly 3:30. It may take up to 5 minutes just to get us going. The reason why I didn't extend the meeting time is because then you are all charged by the hour beyond the 2-hour availability, which is, I think, $64 an hour. So you all can decide how you want to go about that. I opted not to have TSAC incur any room charges. So you can have discussion about that.
Question on that.
Yeah.
When you fill out a reservation with ACES, usually there's a spot for lead time that doesn't get charged. Is that what they're also considering within the 2 hours? Or if you were to ask for 15 minutes in like lead time?
I asked for 15 minutes in lead time. The reservation is from I think I made it from 3:30 to 5:30. And so because you all start your meetings at 3:30, they said anything over that 2-hour time limit would be chargeable.
Yeah. Does that include, will we be charged if our meetings run?
Yes. Okay. Yes, meetings will be charged. So,
Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
no, that's okay. Thing number 3. Next week starts Ready, Set, Rowdy welcome program. So there are activities every day. I'm not going to go through it, but what I will do is I will post in the TSAC chat the schedule of all activities as a reminder during week 1, which is next week. You all are hosting a program during Ready, Set, Rowdy. So there are up to 7 to 10 activities per week. Plenty of things going on, just as an FYI. Advertising your meetings. One of the things I want to help you all do, and the PR committee, is help market your meetings. I've already spoken to the PR committee, so the PR committee kind of has an idea about this. I think it would be really good for TSAC to purchase your own A-frame signs, so that way I can, or the executive assistant can put them out every Monday from JSSB in front of the Tivoli, so that way folks know, hey, TSAC does exist, TSAC is meeting, all are welcome to that meeting. So in order to do that, I need to spend some money. I give that to you all. We would need to write a resolution so I can purchase these A-frames for TSAC, and they're multi-use, so that way you could use it to advertise your different events. As a reminder, something from the weekend winter revival, you all had talked about dedicating at least one meeting a month to discussing your goals and where you're at with your goals. So that's as far as we've gotten. You never discussed what meeting it's going to be. You never discussed how you were going to do it. So that is something I just want to put out there for you all to consider. This is our first meeting. Our next meeting is the last week of January. I would highly recommend maybe that's an opportunity to do that, unless you forego and just start them in February, maybe the last meeting in February. Just something to keep in mind. I also want to help you all out. At the Winter Revival, we've also all talked about tabling and doing tabling. I am happy to make the reservation so that way you all can have a regular, reoccurring tabling date a couple times a month. I just need guidance on that. I'm sure many of you may want to say, well, it's up to the PR committee. I think that goes beyond the PR committee because this is more advocacy than anything. So I will encourage you all to have a discussion about that. Last thing I have for you all, from the Winter Revival, you talked a lot about the Roadrunner Runaround. I had a really good conversation with Sky, and I really think it would be good for you all to use tabling, host focus groups, or put together some kind of internal group of students and start hearing their experiences with the Roadrunner Runaround. You could have food if you're doing focus groups, if you're just doing tabling, you all can decide that, but I'm going to continually bringing up the Roadrunner Runaround because you all talked a lot about that. And I think that is something that TSAC can really make their mark this semester. And with that, I yield.
I'm gonna open up discussion on some split because there were many.
I know.
Say them.
I did also have, so I went to the MLK breakfast this morning with staff senators, and they also expressed interest on like, hey, where's TSAC at with like some of the Roadrunner Runaround stuff and wanting to check back in with where we are on that. So other groups are also wanting to work on.
Patrick?
Yeah, so two of my thoughts, two discussion points, one of them being for our goals. I feel like it would be bestly suited if we have those meetings or that discussion at the end of the month of each meeting at the end of the month. That way we can kind of recap what we did throughout from the beginning and the middle, try to evaluate how we're going to enter this month, see if we can make any positive changes or just just kind of see what we're doing towards our goals. Secondly, I feel like with our Roadrunner Runaround, I feel like focus groups and tabling is key. I think focus group will, if we can arrange like whether it be town halls or maybe just like a study or not study or like a survey that we can provide, I feel like that gives the student body the opportunity to kind of put out their voices, and then we can use that to like kind of help out benefit shared governance or the other like upper administration faculty senate, because I do know that this is something that's being worked around. But I feel like us being the student government, as students, we could probably do more for our own students.
I would like to motion to have the first goals section of 30 minutes added to our next meeting for the 26th, right?
And restate.
Sorry, this isn't coming out right.
No, it's-
I motion to have the executive assistant and the chairs add the 30-minute goals conversation, like our first one, to the next meeting. Like dedicating that on the agenda, like putting it on the agenda for the last week meeting of the month. That's
Okay. I'm gonna offer to you that you just add that to the agenda and it'll get added and we'll make sure that it works with the time frame. You don't want to have a whole debate and vote on it, but if you.
I was just thinking that the executive assistant who owns the sheet, and I know the chairs contribute,
Yeah.
could like add it as its own section instead of just putting it as new business. And so then it can be like on the thing. That's why I made it as a motion.
Okay. I will certainly entertain the motion if you want to do, but I will tell you, you can just put that in the parentheses on the form that you fill out when you add things to the agenda, and we'll do that.
So it's fine.
Okay.
I guess I'll,
We're
if
trying.
anybody wants to add it now, that's fine. I'll bring the sheet.
It'll get added, I promise. Just add it to the form and it'll happen on that. Wonderful. Okay. Is there any more hands for discussion on Stevenson's? Okay, I want to make a motion. But first I want to ask the council if they think it's popular, because I don't want to have a whole section to debate this. Are people okay with us buying aprons? Is that a hand or is that? Okay, cool.
It's like,
I'm gonna make a motion that, how much money, Stephen, do you want for this A-frames?
Can you all start me with like, this is a little, they're a little pricey, but they're durable, they're double side, they have wheels and they have the slits that you can have any posters protected from weather. Can I ask for approximately $500?
How much is like one A-frame of this caliber-ish? Sorry, I just. Okay, I see hands, let's see, let's go to Matt. We'll go to Matt.
I was saying this would also be a good thing for a counselor to work with a delegate to make a resolution.
Okay. Stephanie?
I just would like to add that the care committee created the agenda for our next meeting on Wednesday. And one of our things we're going to discuss is creating a resolution to purchase aprons and clickers.
Okay.
So we were already planning on creating a resolution to buy those things from the PR budget.
Stephen, do you have an answer?
125 per board if we order 3 or more.
Okay. 125 per, I guess, okay. My position on this is that I think we should have A-frames soon. I want to start advertising our meetings. I also think that it's a really simple ask and a small amount of money in comparison to our budget. I don't think we necessarily need to write a resolution about everything that we purchase. I think we certainly could, but I think we don't have to. So hearing that it's pretty popular for us to at least get them, I'm going to make a motion. I motioned that we allocate up to $600 to purchase A-frames. To the, not allocate, but we approve $600 in spending out of the PR budget to purchase A-frames, and PR will lead that. Is there any opposition to that motion? Seeing none, that passes. So the PR committee is now authorized to spend up to $600 for Stephen to purchase those A-frames. Wonderful. Okay. Is there any more discussion on the things that Stephen brought in announcements? Okay. Cynthia, do you have any announcements?
No, actually, Stephen covered all of the things we've been talking about, quite literally, so thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on to standing committees. Go ahead.
So as far as accountability committee, we're making some movement on our safety training. We're looking into maybe trying to get some co-sponsors to try and get upwards of 50 students certified in CPR first aid training. We're in our last little bit of meeting with Dean of Students, administration around our guidelines, procedures, and restorative justice and all that. And our first meeting will be after our last meeting or after our next meeting on that Monday at 5:45. But I'll also work with my team and Nathan over here to, if we need to, fine tune the timing.
Maybe.
A quick question.
Yeah.
So the CPR training is that actual certification?
That's what we're searching for.
Because like a lot of that can actually open opportunities for jobs, which is awesome.
Awesome.
We were looking at that.
Standing committee chairs, I'll go next, seeing no hands so far. Sustainability committee has not met this semester yet, given it just started. We will set the time once I talk to our new folks. Very exciting. I do have a meeting with Internet Services upcoming soon to discuss the planning of the rights training that's authorized under Resolution 1 last semester. And so I will keep the council in the loop, and sustainability will start meeting very soon. Any other standing committees? Go to PR.
Yes, so I would just like to remind councilors and delegates as well to sign up to fill out the sign up for the community and breakfast happening next Thursday from 9 to 11. That will be our first event. Obviously, my will be great to get as many council members if possible to come and interact with students.
Awesome. Emma.
Just as a small thing, can you just reshare that in the chat, just
Yes.
so delegates can see it again?
Yes.
And myself, I guess. Okay.
I also want to note something I heard in Steve's updates that I figured would be covered in PR updates is if you are working on reserving tables, I think certainly outside the PR committee you can do that. you need to go through the PR committee in some way because we only get 4 per month and we have to manage that in our public relations. So yes, please get PR committees consent before you reserve a table, just so we are aware of it, so we can make sure that we're trying.
Yeah, so over the break, I wasn't a part of the committee, not the chair. Committee members were able to participate in establishing our fiscal year 27 TSAC SAB. So every year SAB asks us to give a report of how much we have spent, guys, how much we're for last year, this year, and for next year. So one of them is like trying to see how much we want, but not really how much we really need, and put in that big board for SAB. Right now, that was already confirmed and voted on last week with budget committee. As of next week, the upcoming meeting on the 21st, we're going to be discussing upon our presentation for SAB. So we're going to be inputting like what we're going to present to SAB board itself. And then our deadline for that is going to be on the 2nd of February. And then we're going to be deciding for our upcoming presenters on the 10th. I believe it's on the 10th of February. So anyone interested?
Other standing committees, anything? Seeing nothing, we're going to advisory committees. Emma?
Just for SAB, I know that like Steven sent an email looking for the times. We're struggling to find a meeting time with our members. I know I have a very busy schedule. This might be something that somebody else could fill in for if it helps the SAB process move along. If I'm the issue, good chance I am. So I would just put that out there because we're trying to move this along, but it's
Rowan.
Yeah, so for SACAB, I'm gonna be resigning from SACAB at the end of the January 23rd SACAB meeting. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but essentially there's a longstanding pattern of the area campus administration and ABOD failing to engage with SACAB and with student voices in good faith. And I guess as long as that's the case, I don't view SACAB as an effective place to make change whatsoever. And I would rather take that energy that I'm currently spending on SACAB and redirect it back here to TSAC, where I do feel like it carries a little bit more weight.
Thank you, Rob. Will?
I want to ask Emma, going back to what she said about potentially not being able to meet. Would you prefer if we like appointed a secondary counselor to fill for you if that was an issue?
That's a good question. I just want to reach out to she just started reaching out to us again this week and just let her know that I don't want to hinder the meeting times. So if it's at a time, I'd prefer to be there and I'd prefer to keep that role because I enjoy it. But if it would help with the scheduling, that I'd be willing to appoint somebody else to that role. So I just need to reach out and tell her that.
Okay. With that, I will lay a little thought here for the council. I do think if we do have to have a secondary for Emma, it should be someone who's been a chair of SAB or someone who's more aware of the dynamics of SAB. That is my recommendation, if that is what will take place. Not that it will, but
I'm just putting it out there as something to consider.
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I also want to note that if you're unable to do that for a time conflict or if you want to step down, I think TSAC would need to appoint. I don't think you could appoint someone to take over the program. Just FYI.
Yeah.
I know it's all sensitive. But
I didn't say that.
any other advisory committee? Okay.
Actually, going back to Rowan's announcement, do you know if Sai is also on the same?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
I think he's still I haven't heard from either.
Okay.
sweet news.
I'm gonna close advisory committees and I'm gonna not do open floor today unless there's objection.
I
Okay,
object.
go ahead. Open floor.
The reason why I object is I felt it pertinent for the council to find out that we had one delegate resign from the program. Not that they became like a sworn in delegate, but I still think it's important for counselors to know, like, hey, where is this person? The person in question is Tyler. Tyler resigned. I won't get into why, but he resigned, and I wanted the council to know about that.
Thank you, Ron. Closing open floor, moving on to old business. We're going to discussion on consent meeting agenda and closing time. I'm going to limit discussion to 7 minutes so we can get our agenda today. That is mine. So we'll start. We decided to meet on Mondays, and today's not, but all future meetings are to be on Mondays. And so we typically close the agenda 24 hours before, but that would be on a Sunday. And so I wanted to ask the counselors and the council's opinion on whether or not we should close the agenda on Sunday or Friday or something else that you have to propose, because we're left unanswered and haven't made a decision.
I believe that we should close it on the Friday before, so that gives time for people to not have to work over the weekend necessarily. I think it's because we have like weird working with our executive assistant to do this. We don't want to force her to do work over the weekend.
Emma.
I would second that, and I would ask counselors to be a little bit more forward thinking about resolutions and stuff too, so that then, like, you can put it on a week before, like, knowing.
I also want to acknowledge the point to add on to Emma and Peg's point that Sunday to some is a religious day and it is like a no work day. So I think that's important for people who do take that seriously. It's just something to consider.
Patrick.
A motion was that the TSAC meeting agenda close the time to Friday. 2:30.
Wow, that's really random.
An hour before our meeting.
Oh, is it? Oh, that's the time.
So
Okay, that
second
makes
from
sense.
Faye.
Not random.
Okay. There's a motion to close the regular meeting agenda closing time to be Fridays at 2:30 p.m.
Second.
Is there any objections?
We can have a second.
Second by Faye, made by Patrick. Is there any objection to the motion? Is that objection?
No. It's just being long.
Seeing no objection, the motion passes. That's what our agenda will close. Wonderful. I'm very excited that we'll have more time to read other resolutions. So just adding that to the pile. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to further clarify though, the Constitution does say 24 hours for like the sending of a resolution. I think it's just important to give that context so there's people that don't completely understand, you know what I'm talking about, Sky here.
You're right. Did someone cancel what time?
I did.
Okay.
I didn't realize we were gonna
It's
have.
okay. We're still on that point. I wanted to say, yeah, that question doesn't answer. Theoretically, you could add a resolution to the agenda on Friday and then not post it until Sunday, and it would still be within 24 hours of posting. So I guess we need to answer a policy question: is do we want to require for someone to add it to the agenda, they have to add the resolutions like final text to be considered, or could they wait and add it over the weekend? So we need to have a motion one way or the other if someone has one or discussion. Go ahead.
I was going to ask if you could clarify what a decision on that.
Yeah, so there's a constitutional requirement that resolutions must be noticed to the council 24 hours ahead of time. So that constitutional deadline would be 3:30 on Sundays. Theoretically, I could put a resolution on the agenda on Friday and then not post the resolution to our chat until Saturday or Sunday before 3:30, and that would satisfy every requirement we set on that. So do we want to require counselors to read resolutions on Sundays or Saturdays, or do we want to mean that you have to have the resolution's final text ready at 2:30 on Friday?
think for constitutional consistency, they should technically be allowed to edit it up until the Sunday deadline. That said, we could, if there's really strong pushback, I would perchance implore people to make a small amendment to the Constitution just to say like not including weekends, like if, we meet on Mondays.
You talked a minute. I'm gonna talk next because I was ready. I really think that if we're gonna close the agenda, we should close it and have a final version of your resolution. And if you want to edit it and make changes, you can do that, but those have to be amendments proposed in the meeting. Just so people can read it on Saturday and not have to worry about whether or not someone changed it by Sunday. Just so that people that are taking their weekends as break time for themselves can do that. I don't think it's a constitutional confliction, because this is an additional requirement on counselors that you're setting as a council, and that doesn't conflict with any constitutional question. So I will entertain a motion. That's that. Motions only. Go ahead.
I actually think I'm not feeling like we're all like completely on the same page here, which is fine at times. But I don't know if we need to necessarily answer this question here and now either.
Okay.
I think a motion is a useful way to test whether or not we're all on the same page. So I'm going to make a motion that we require resolutions that are added to the agenda by the agenda deadline to be the finalized version that will be presented in the meeting on Monday, with any edits and revisions done after that point to become amendments that will be added by the council.
It was a really long motion.
Yeah.
Can I summarize that? Yeah. I'm gonna hear that as a motion that to submit a resolution to the agenda, you have the final version ready the time you submit it to the agenda. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Is there any opposition?
I abstain.
Seeing no opposition, that passes by unanimous consent. I will note that Emma seconds that. We will move on. That is the way we'll do things. Okay, on to discussion on the JCP line closure facilities and communications with COO. I also added this to the agenda. I noticed that a while ago we talked about the JCP line closure, sort of how that went down. I don't think we've had really much of a resolution or next steps on that, other than meeting with some folks, and I don't know what the status is on those meetings. So I wanted to ask our advisors to let us know the status of those, and also discuss how we want to proceed with communication with those administrators.
Sure. What I can share with you all is that we were able to pull information about who's reserved in terms of student organizations reserving the JSSB lawn. And other than the first few weeks of every semester, there is little to no reservations from student organizations reserving the JSSB lawn. Now, I think if I were in your shoes, my counter to that would be, do student organizations know that they can reserve the JSSB lawn full free? Probably not. So I think that is something that can be discussed at a later time. I did reach out to various administrators, specifically Leanne Bokinski, who does oversee facilities and planning and that sort of thing. There was belief that you all should be working with student affairs and not facilities. They are happy to come to a meeting to talk. I think it might be really important for them, if this is something you want to do, to hear directly from the students.
Thank you, Steve. Okay. Floor is open for discussion on this. Patrick.
So where are we going to be able to reach out with regards to the situation? Okay. There are events, not many, but there are some events that are trying to plan on to the front lawn that aren't able to due to what's going on. We're able to contact at least supplement with those events. Because I've already called talking to Dr. Wilson gets an idea that popped up, looks like that. MSU can probably cover the costs in time as we kind of receive. So can we still talk to Kinski?
you all, can I talk? Okay, you all can talk to whoever you want. What I'm recommending is that I don't know if they're seeing the urgency coming from me as a staff member. I think it might be heard or received better if they say, hey, we still have concerns about this. Now Leanne may say, well, you should talk to Will Simpkins. And I think Will is also a good idea to talk with as well and say, hey, last time we spoke about this. And I think that's a really good idea to subsidize costs for other areas around campus. I'm afraid that this guidance that I'm giving you too may be another example of the Roadrunner run. And I'm concerned that I myself might be run around as a Roadrunner. So I really think, Patrick, to answer your question, it's up to you all to decide what you want to do. I think you can have another conversation with Will. Technically, that's where you started. That's the next hierarchical. That would be the next hierarchical thing to do. However, there was a request at the last meeting to have Leanne come to speak. For whatever reason, I think they felt that it was better suited in student affairs, but you all as student government are well within your right to invite Leanne.
This was just an idea that I had since they are encouraging us to like basically go talk to Simpkins. It could complicate things, but it might also be worthwhile to invite both Leanne Bakinski and Will Simpkins to the same meeting for a focused discussion about this topic. Just both of them in the same. Like, hey,
So who's right responses today? Okay, go ahead.
It's not a direct response. It is a question posed to student.
Okay, I'll go ahead. I don't think that we should invite both of them to the same meeting. The reason is that I view this as an important advocacy issue. Will Simpkins comes to us once a month and often has a giant slew of things. We all talk to him for a very long amount of time because of how much he oversees. And I think it'd be good to use that time to talk about many other things as well. And this could be like a small part of it, but I don't think an entire discussion with him and Leanne would best use the time that we give Will Simpkins. I think it might be more worth our time to pick someone else in student affairs to do that joint meeting with the council. Okay, this is also direct.
It's not.
We're gonna go there. Oh, Maria's had a hand for a minute. We'll go to Maria first.
I was gonna say, instead of having them at the meeting, what if we tried emailing them? Because I don't know if everyone's schedule will work. So maybe an email to see what they have to say. And then moving on and having them come in now or something.
I mean, it's tangential to all this. Like, how likely do you think that would happen? Stephen, how likely would what happen? That meeting with us at the same time?
With Leanne and TSAC or Leanne and
Will? Both of them.
I'm sort of in the same boat as Sky. I think if you want to have Leanne and Will does come once a semester and has a very lengthy agenda. I think it might be worth, if you want to have Leanne and Taylor come, that might be the way to go, because I think they can have that. And at the very least, you can have this conversation with Taylor if Leanne doesn't or is not able to come.
So for added context, Will Simpkins is the Vice President for Student Affairs. Leanne Bakinski is the Chief Operating Officer of MSU Denver. And this Taylor person that we're talking about is Taylor Tackett. That is the Dean of Students who reports to Simpkins. Just for folks that matter. Emma.
I just kind of want to I feel like we've been kind of talking about the lawn, but has anyone really heard any complaints about the lawn? Because I think in some ways the best way to go about this would just knowing if there is a resource to pay for an additional, if we have to use another lawn. But I don't know if there's any other like the grass just needs to heal. Like we need to let the grass heal. The grass needs to do its thing. And I think the best, instead of having them come to this meeting and like lengthily discuss it, I think it might be better just to send an email to them and be like, hey, is there a resource if somebody wanted it. And then if somebody came to us, we could relay that.
I guess that also go back to the point that was made earlier about like, do student boards actually know that they can reserve the lawn? And is that maybe the reason why, like if there haven't been a ton of complaints about it, could it be because people simply don't know that that is available? Also, I want to recognize that or be as in attendance.
Yeah, great response to that. I agree with what you're saying. However, I do feel like what we should be asking is for subsidized, and who we can talk to get that subsidy for, if any organizations, or CBI, or going to do any student-related events under that law, see if there could be a place like subsidized for it. Because I feel like the biggest issue here is not like there's many, but obviously there's not many people here that comes to public comment, because there aren't many people that know about it. The same goes about any sort of organization or anything going on campus. So if you just have the opportunity that if you do choose to have an event and you want it to be on the lawn, however, since the lawn isn't available, MSU does have the capacity to subsidize for that student organization.
Have we talked to Tony about this? It's like, she's the associate director for student organizations, but the lady as well. Steve.
I want to add another layer to this for you all to consider. And this goes back to something Rowan had talked about in terms of some SACAB related matters. Some of the context behind this was that, and I will ask you, did anyone from leadership come to talk to you about what the potential impact would be on students? And so I'm seeing some head shakes, recognizing that no, they did not come. What they did do is they sent an email to Dr. Barone. Dr. Barone forwarded it to me. We had less than 24 hours to respond. I think, yes, there's some advocacy that needs to be done for student organizations, but I think another way to look at it is advocacy from all of your perspective as TSAC, that they're making a decision related to a potential student experience. What is that impact on students? And you all as student government should be pushing to make sure that these senior leaders are respecting TSAC and going to TSAC in the true form of shared governance.
I'm really glad to say this is a packed conversation. I'm going to go to Emma, and then we are going to try to figure out how to solve this question of what to do next with a motion of some sort. Emma?
Just as my final comments about the lawn, I think that about the lawn, I think that, in my opinion, that feels like a larger issue than the lawn closure itself. I think a lot of students don't know about the lawn, and while it is a resource, at this point it is not a resource, and maybe we should start doing that advocacy work after the lawn heals, and we should just be like, there's new grass, and that can be our new advocacy work. I personally don't think we need to go above and beyond to advertise, like causing people to be upset that the lawn is no longer available when they didn't even know it was available before. Like, that just doesn't seem productive to me. So I would rather go the route of being like, hey, but you should have asked about it.
Right. How can we in the future?
Yeah.
Yes, like,
Okay. I asked the council how we continue discussion or motion, whatever you'd like, but Rowan?
I guess I would just want to point out that they had said before that the lawn, due to the lawn would essentially be out of service until May, so that's a full semester of students not being able to use it. And I guess I don't feel like I feel like if we don't point out to student organizations that they are missing out on a resource that was taken away from them without consulting the students, we're failing to bring to light the fact that the administration failed to consult students on this regard. And that's an opportunity for us to point out a place where the administration could do better.
Nathan?
As delegates, we just got sworn in. I feel like we're missing this entire start of this conflict.
I can give a little bit of insight into the history of this, is that the JSSB lawn is the only green space on campus that student organizations at MSU Denver can reserve for free, because MSU owns it, as opposed to like the Quad or 9th Street that they had charge a student notice form.
Okay.
And it was closed in October, November, something like that, October, with 24 hours notice given to Cynthia and no consulting with us. And from what we've heard, nothing with other students either about like what's the student impact, what can we do to mitigate student impact, if this is like a needed grass change or whatever it is. So like if this is needed, I'm not a facilities expert. If it's a needed thing to happen, what is the worry for like the students, the advocacy for students for losing that resource that the campus provides? That's the biggest question here. It's not actually whether or not this grass is available. But that's the context.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Sorry we didn't make that clear. All hands.
I want to point out one of your questions. I'm not sure if it was answered. Is Tony made aware of any of those, or has anyone got input from her?
I was just curious if we've asked Tony.
I think that's a valid question because she's like all student boards go to her, and I think that's an important connection to make here. But I don't know if anyone knows that answer here.
Maybe
See that maybe?
I really want to see next step plans for TSAC, like next steps come out of this in the next 2 to 3 minutes. So we can move on to the next item on the agenda. So if you have ideas for next steps, I'd love to hear it. Go back to Will.
I do think we need to at least reach out to Tony and see personally.
Okay. I think we should assign someone to do that. I don't think we need a whole motion thing. Who wants to do that? Will. Okay, wonderful. Will's gonna reach out to Tony.
My thoughts were, so I think finding other ways that we can establish or like give students this resource is also a way that we can promote that the lawn board with free resourcing. So I think that we should start looking into ways to get that other resource available to students. And I think that the idea of inviting the Tackett and Brian Bukinski to a meeting. That's my suggestion.
Okay. Patrick, is that a hand?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So I think just hearing over this conversation, I'm leaning a little bit towards emotion, but I'm not quite sure, to be honest. I do feel like maybe a meeting would be nice, to get back on board. However, if we have more context, maybe email communication with Leanne Bukinski or Dr. Wilson or Jill Tackett, whichever would be more direct to our question. Just really asking why, concerning of why student government really wasn't opposed for the fact that Stephen is our advisor and let him inform us of what's like going on. I don't think, did anyone here receive any emails regarding that? No. So we have the same problem that no one's really talking to us, even though we are the student government. And even though we're not directly in charge of organizations, we do have involvement with helping them out. We're doing events, sponsor event, and then we as well. So I think it would be important for us to just get all the information first, move like to a meeting, figure out what's going on and what could happen. And then if the case were to be that, they're not really telling us a good answer or there really isn't an answer, then we can let it speak them with it. I would feel like an email would be a lot more feasible considering all of these people's busy schedules. And I feel like it'd be a lot more direct.
Is there someone?
Sorry, I just was gonna say, what is the timeline on getting something like this resolved? And I only asking because I feel like there is some sense of urgency given that several student organizations use that lawn to do their meet and greets and stuff for their clubs. So is this something that can be solved before February?
I think Leanne can answer that. Is there a person or a group of people that are really passionate about this sort of area of the chief officers that made this decision didn't consult us about an issue and or about the lawn itself that want to take up spearheading this bay? Okay, others? Rowan? I'm not necessarily proposing that. I'm just gauging interest. Is there delegates interested? Okay, so it looks like we have at least 3 people interested in it. I think it would be really, not necessarily, after I've thought about it for a little bit, I think it'd be really weird to invite 2 people together to a meeting and probably haven't talked about this issue together yet. So Taylor Tackett and Leanne Bukinski, I think it makes more sense for us to sort of informally just have 3 of our folks reach out to these 2 people, maybe schedule a meeting with them to ask about the issue. I sort of see Leanne's point about trying to have like a subsidy for this might be a student affairs issue. That might be a tailored question. Investigating why this happened and how it happened might be a Leanne question. So I think it makes perfect sense to have people that are really interested in this sort of go do this thing and then report back to TSAC instead of inviting 2 unrelated people. But that's my opinion. Emma?
Just for some delegate context as well, because I think that was a nice question and put some pressure on us. Hopefully in our next meeting, part of that goals conversation is around setting deadlines and timelines. So if we have like the interest to reach out to somebody and get things moving, we're setting like future deadlines for ourselves. So you'll see, we're gonna start working on that. So if you guys are on this like bond committee, you can start thinking about like deadlines you want to set for yourself.
Are there any thoughts on how we're proceeding with that? Do we want to have a motion to decide? Do we want to just move on? What do we want to do? Cynthia?
Can I just give like, I guess, input, feedback, advice, take it or leave it. I think it would be really helpful for you all to frame out before you reach out to anyone. And I think Sky, you kind of touched on this, like what are the outcomes you all are looking for, as opposed to just like the concerns that you're raising? Like, what are you hoping to see? Solution focused opportunities, like what do you see moving forward? What would be helpful? And, you know, focusing on not just the problem, but what are the potential solutions, so that way you come solution focused to that conversation. That's all.
Patrick?
How about for promotion of individuals who are spearheading this?
Oh.
And our advisor, Stephen, we proposed to write 2 emails. One of them being to Glenn Kinski regarding what is going on, how come student government was involved and how we could be involved in future decisions. And secondly, an email to Taylor Packet to see if there would be a possibility to subsidize for any potential student organization events that would have been on the JSSB front line.
I think it makes the most sense for us to discuss slightly more about that specific proposal before we finalize the motion language. So I'm going to open up just discussion on what Patrick just said, what the words even made.
So I have a slight concern as what you mean by subsidize here. I have a thought of what that means, but would you care explaining that motion, the language of that motion?
Yeah, for in terms of subsidize, I mean, like if I was gonna pay nothing for this long, then I have to go to this other place that pays like, I have to pay like $50. Could you cover that $50?
Do we have a list? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Nate.
Do we have a list of available places to rent? List that's like places that are free? Like for my PSC club, we use a classroom and it costs us a dime. So I'm wondering if where's the list?
We do have that list. I'm gonna go to Faye next. Faye?
My, I guess, concerns with that motion is that I think it makes more sense for this, me and the 2 other individuals who are interested in kind of spearheading this in a way, to kind of talk about like what we see as solutions and work in that smaller group, not as like an official committee, but as in folks who are interested in doing this work, and kind of decide how we want that email to sound, if we want to send it to both, or if we want to send the two separate emails and kind of work that out amongst the 3 of us with council input of any who are interested.
So I'm gonna pause. Oh, Cynthia.
Sorry, as you all are requesting funds, I know the state of our budget right now, and I know the state of Taylor's budget right now, and there is not a lot of wiggle room there. I would offer that he's probably gonna kick it to me. If you all ask for money, I would consider what a dollar amount would be, and I would be open to entertaining that because I have more of a budget right now than Taylor does, if I'm being honest, for the rest of this year. That I could help subsidize whatever you all think these student orgs need in this moment, because I just don't think, I'm not saying it's not important to raise it to him, but I know that's likely what's going to happen. So I would like to offer that if that is a way that I can help support student orgs during this transition time. I don't know what that looks like in terms of allocating my general fund to pay for space, but that is something I want to offer the support in this moment. I'm not saying don't raise it to Taylor. I'm just saying if that's the way I can help support, to mitigate some of this and then thinking about in future, whatever that looks like in terms of having student voice before decisions like this are made. So we can figure this out on the front end and not on the back end. That's what I think.
Will,
I want to pose a question to the council. Are we curious as to a response from Tony? Because I just got one to your question.
I mean, give us the info.
I feel like it's pertinent to Emma's opinion on this. So I asked her literally just now that we were discussing the JSSB loan. I wanted to know if she was aware that it has been closed off to students and getting her point of view and input on this matter. And she said, "Hey, Will, I was aware that it was closed off. As of now, I haven't had any boards contact me with concerns, but I think that they likely seen the fencing and just haven't tried. I think it is a very underutilized space and I hope y'all can advocate for it. In my opinion, MSU Denver facilities need to invest in some tables so we can table more easily in SSB and AES as well as out on the lawn. They have to ask AHEC or our area for tables in those spaces and pay for them." And I've consent to share that response.
I think what I'm hearing from the council and from Dr. Barone here is that we have a potential solution to half the thing that we're talking about, which is subsidizing it. It feels like students being able to reserve this space where it was free before, being able to reserve a different space for free as well. The problem we don't have a solution to is we're just finding out what happened for this input on this. So I think what makes sense, we are going over time. And so I think what makes sense is for us to have a motion for how to proceed. All of this discussion has been mid-motion in Patrick's motion. So I want to ask, do you want to continue with your motion or do you want to retract it?
I would like to continue.
Okay, there's a motion been made. It's not been seconded yet. And I did hear dissent before we got to it. So is there a second to Patrick's motion? Is that a second?
No, it's more, can you
Okay.
restate the motion?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
This is
when I-
the no.
The motion was to send two separate emails. One of them to Leanne Bukinski to regard of where was the miscommunication between students and the decision for closing off the law. And then another email to Taylor Packet for the options for subsidize. I'm not trying to put in here specific language. I feel like people who are writing will have the language. That's why I asked for individuals to volunteer to spearhead this, to get advice from Stephen, who has more information, also help out formulate that email.
Is there a second to the motion? Seeing none, you seconded it? Okay, it's been seconded by Maria. Is there opposition? Seeing opposition, we'll go into debate. Debate. Hence. Will.
I think while the emails are overall a good idea, I do agree with Faye as to allowing the flexibility as to the counselors and the one delegate spearheading this, the flexibility to choose their next steps as I'm understanding what your argument is, correct? So I think the emails might not necessarily be the best option forward right now, not to say they won't be, but to allow those people to find the path forward, but also consult TSAC when the time comes to do so. That way they're not acting just on their own biases and operating roguely.
Seeing minimal support to second the motion and seeing lots of hands in discussion, and we're over time, I'm gonna go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and close discussion, have a vote on this. If it fails, we'll continue with the point being discussed. All in favor, raise your hand high. Okay. See two. All opposed, raise your hand high. Okay. I find that motion failed. I will open the floor back to the main discussion point here, which is discussion on the diversity law and closure facility litigation with COO Bukinski. I will entertain motions how to proceed or discussion if you'd like. Emma.
I'd like to motion to allow those that are interested in the lawn to group together and report back what they have decided to do in our next meeting.
Second that.
This sounds like the creation of an ad hoc committee, which I am not opposed to. I think it makes sense to go ahead and formalize that if we're gonna have a group that reports back to us.
Do you want to?
I will hear,
Then I want an ad hoc
this
committee.
motion as a motion to create an ad hoc committee regarding the JSSB law and MSU number facilities.
Yes. That was a friendly
Is that-
amendment, so yeah.
Wonderful. Is there a second to that motion? Second. Okay, and then I will open debate again. I'm sure people have the ability to debate that through debate. Will,
Debate as to,
as to the motion of whether or not to create an ad hoc committee regarding the JSSB law and MSU number facilities.
I don't know if this falls under that, so I'll let, under your discretion.
Seeing no debate, is there any opposition to the motion? Okay, wonderful. We created an ad hoc committee with no members currently. I will motion to confirm, I'm skip nominations. I'm in motion to appoint. Motion to appoint Shay and Emma.
No, I don't want to be on this.
To the.
And Rowan, I don't want to be on this.
Shay and Rowan and Maisie to this.
So I just
ad hoc
motioned
committee.
for it.
Is there a second? That's it. Any opposition? Seeing none, that passes. I'm going to close this item of business. We're going to move on to the election of the chairs committee members for spring 2026. For the record, the chairs are elected to 1 semester terms. So our term is ending at the end of this meeting unless we are reconfirmed. I am going to abdicate though, because I'm interested in this question. I'm going to abdicate to William Coates.
I'm the presiding chair.
Yes.
Amazing. Okay. Alrighty. Take us there, Scott. I open the floor to discussion about this, discussion of TSAC meeting agenda closing time. Wait, no, excuse me. Item C, election on chairs committee members for spring 2026. Sorry. A little tired. Yeah.
Wonderful. I think we should figure out how to elect our chairs. We either need to figure out if we're going to have a nomination period, all the debate and discussion and then the vote, or if we're going to reconfirm the current chairs or what we're going to do. So I asked the council, what do you guys want to do?
Well, I would ask any counselors here, if you're interested in rerunning or not rerunning, but to run for the chairs, to state so. That way we can move forward with that path of action. If not, I would argue that we just go into a vote of some sort to reconfirm our 2 chairs current.
Is this a nominations period technically or just interest?
I want to engage interest because I've asked multiple counselors whether or not they want to run for this. If there's no interest, then I think ideally, logically, would move forward with a vote to reconfirm and re-establish our 2 current chairs for the next semester, for this upcoming semester. Yes, Scott.
I'm interested. Kidding. I don't see any hands, so I'm gonna make a motion. I guess, should I make a motion? Yeah, I'll make a motion to reconfirm myself and Patrick as co-chairs for spring 2026.
That is an order, yes.
Wait, can we vote as delegates?
No,
No.
you can make motions second.
Oh, okay.
Seconded by Dalton.
All right, as there is a second, I open up to discussion as to whether or not this motion goes forward or not, whatever, debate. Yes, Robert.
Just want to point out how good Sharon's online. What's that? Oh, I thought there was, okay, never
She's
mind.
on the-
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for checking though, Rowan.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. All righty, I'm gonna,
I would just say that I've really enjoyed our chairs, but I think that moving forward, if we do reconfirm, it's important to get those rules of order locked in. Or not the rules of order, the guidelines,
Yeah.
whatever, you know what I'm talking about. The guidelines and procedures, we were like talking about it.
yes, Scott.
I want to say I wholeheartedly agree with that. And I want to say that, today, the chairs, as well as some other folks in the council that are interested in writing those, met for 3-ish hours, 3 to 4-ish hours, somewhere in there, to just draft that very thing. And we hopefully will have a presentation for you in a week and 3 days.
Does this come with like guidelines and procedures, or is this the whole thing?
Not the whole thing. I also want to clarify, I don't think you were here when we announced that that document is just a draft and it's not final, obviously. It's just it's just the rules of order. It's not the full procedures, which would be a lot more pages.
Yes,
But yes,
this was just part of the overall guidelines.
So I don't see any further debate here. Making sure. Yes, Ray.
I do not know this with 100% certainty, but I also do believe that Susanna was possibly interested in money for sure. But they are not present to she'll accept it, so.
Because of that fact, then I do think it's important that we continue without considering Susanna, since she is not able to voice her own opinion and run. Alrighty, let's see. No further debate. Okay, let's move on to do I entertain a motion to go into? All right, well, since there's no debate, let's make it interesting. I want to do a roll call. Start with Emma Foss,
Aye.
Maria, Rowan.
Aye.
Irving.
Aye.
Aye.
Staying.
just for the fun.
Just for the fun.
Yeah.
Make it interesting.
I guess me, aye. And that passes through roll call vote. Almost, well, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Say your state.
Abstentions are not staying.
Yeah.
Oh.
So unanimous consent right there. Congratulations to our chairs for spring of 2026.
Thank you.
All right, now that matter has been settled, I'll pass it on to Sky.
Thank you so much. Will, come over. We are just a little bit behind. We're gonna go on to spring welcome week with Stephen. I know you covered part of this in your updates. If you still have anything?
The only thing was,
Go ahead.
Tony had sent an email to everyone, well, not everyone, to the co-chairs and to the PR committee about signing up for the Springington involvement in the student club fair. I definitely think it's important that TSAC participates in that. I reposted that link from the email into the TSAC chat. Please, TSAC, sign up for this, make this a priority. Be there. It's Thursday of the second week. I think it goes from about 11:30 to 2, give or take. But TSAC should absolutely table.
Or is that?
No more discussion.
On more of Stephen's thoughts.
Just kidding.
I'm kidding. Okay. Thank you so much, Stephen. We will make sure to get on that, folks. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I want to know if PR's considering what Steven just mentioned, actually,
Oh,
like us tabling or whatever, getting our faces out there.
well, I guess we could consider it like usual. We'll have to plan to have some stuff, and then of course, availability for councils to make it. So I guess I'll bring it up to our next meeting on Monday, so they all know what we have to do. But it's Susanna and we put, what's happening, but, we should be good with it. So we can at least, advertise like election. Yeah.
Maps.
How quickly do you need to know?
Given that it's the first week, I think the deadline, or the second week rather, you all probably need to sign up relatively soon, just because I'm worried about running out of tables to turn home. I don't think you will. I would recommend that you all set a deadline by that PR meeting. And then from there, Steffi, you and your team get something out to the council for who's available to work that. And I think part of PR, you all should decide what you're going to have at the table. Do you have any surveys you want to start, run around stuff? What do you want to have there?
school materials.
Pizza.
Does PR want, meet next on Wednesday? Is that?
It's from 5:30 to
Yeah.
7.
Given that's a while away, in my opinion, compared to when this is, it's like half the time between now and then. Would it be okay if either the chair, which I know she's out of the country, or the vice chairs of PR do a little bit of research about when this event is and what it would take over the next like day and a half, and then get a sign up link to counselors over the weekend before you guys have a chance to meet on Wednesday? Just, that's my question to you guys, I guess. Faye?
I was also gonna offer on that comment from Sky, that could be a useful thing to know, that if we can even go as a council, of like, if you are able to like get that information for us, get the like when to meet out, and then it's like, oh, we just like straight up don't have people to cover it, then we know that we're not gonna be covered. Like a little more back and forth PR.
Yeah, I think it's a while away.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I like the idea, so I think I'm just gonna send it, one to me to see if we have at least, like people that are even still, because I personally, so there will be, I know Irby has a good schedule on their Zoom, but she probably can't be there, it's not a zone. So I'll probably do that, just, see. Testimony.
Yeah, is it okay if we set or not set, but if you communicate like a deadline to us for when you'll have that Wednesday meet in the TSAC chat, so that you can work on that? Or you or you or whoever in PR. Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry, I was asking you to let us know when you plan to have that in the chat.
Oh,
Just-
when, yes, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I can create it.
Okay, then what
Yeah.
that would be very wonderful. Okay. On welcome week, anything? Seeing no hands, we're gonna move on to appointment of representative to the student fee review panel, also from Stephen.
Sam Barnett is one of the advisors for SAB, but they have reached out because they are beginning to assemble their student fee review panel. It reviews the FY27, which is the next fiscal year, fee proposals and makes recommendations to the student body, president, and board of trustees. According to their policy, as it's written right now, they're required to include the TSAC VP and one other TSAC member in this group. There is recognition that their policy has not been updated. So here's the thing for you all to know. Each panel member will be expected to attend just 2 virtual meetings for 90 minutes each. So the 2 meetings are each 90 minutes. These meetings are Friday, February 6th from 2:30 to 4, and then Friday, February 20th, also 2:30 to 4. Dates and times may be subject to change depending on schedules and availability. As a point of clarification, I did ask, well, are you looking for a co-chair and maybe a budget chair? What are you looking for? Sam said, well, a co-chair would be nice and another member of TSAC, but that's up to you all to decide. So again, Friday, February 6th, 2:30 to 4, Friday, February 20th, 2:30 to 4. Those are the times you would need to be able to commit to those times.
First I want to ask who's interested in the student fee review panel. Raise your hand. Okay, there's 2. I also want to ask Stephen, do you know if our SAB reps even qualified to be on it? If they're also already sort of part of that process before it gets there?
Great question. I do not have an answer.
Okay. Matt?
Pretty sure it's separate process, but there's separate fees. Yeah, it has nothing to do with the student affairs fee. It's all the different like departmental fee increases.
Stephen, I thought the student fee review panel was looking at all of the fees proposed for the entire year.
It is all student.
Okay, which would include student affairs fee, right?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. I only see 2 people interested, so I want to re-ask the question. Is anyone else interested? Okay. I also want to propose to the council that we note for the record that we're not sending, if we do send me and Faye, we're not sending us in co-chair capacity, counselor capacity. We're just sending 2 equal counselors without hierarchy. Is that something that people agree to? Even though I happen to be a co-chair, it's not what it is.
Motion to appoint both of you.
Okay, I heard a motion to appoint.
Second.
Motion to appoint Sky and Fade.
Sorry.
The review panel. Is there a second?
I said.
Second from Matt. Is there any opposition? Seeing none, we're confirmed to that. Wonderful, thank you. Okay, we are early, guys. That's what it is. I'm hearing a motion to adjourn and hearing a second from Maria. Is there any opposition to adjourning? One opposition to? Two in opposition to adjourning, I say the motion to adjourn.
Yes.
No, I didn't hand it out. No, I am not related. It's not.
It wasn't really an opposition. I was like, you're trying to give me a bait.
That's why it was.
No, I understand why you're opposed.
Way too close.
Yeah.
We adjourn. No recording. Just- I mean, I'm sure our lovely executive assistant will cut that out of the recording before uploading it.
Easier to just even going, our meeting adjourned.
Sure.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh,